The young doctor was very happy with himself. He had just changed the bandage of the female millionaire, who had been in a coma for 20 days. He had no idea that his seemingly insignificant action would bring her out of her death-like sleep. The doctor said that she would not wake up and suggested that the family take her off life support. Then one day a young doctor came to change her bandages. He didn't know anything about the socialite or her family. He just knew that he had to do his job. Isabella's mother refused. "My daughter is a fighter. She will pull through this," she said, tears streaming down her face. It all started when the famous socialite Isabella had an accident at home. Isabella was shocked. She couldn't remember anything. The last thing she remembered was going to her home after attending a party, and then everything went black. He was eager to see her and tell her about the progress of their shared company. But when he got to her room, he was shocked to see that she was awake and alert. The doctors managed to save her life, but she fell into a coma from which she never woke up. She was able to walk around the hospital room and even sit in a wheelchair outside. "No, nothing's wrong," he replied quickly. I can't believe you're awake. We were so worried." Victor was not only cheating on his wife, but he was also seeing someone else. Her doctors were amazed at her progress and said that she was a medical miracle. "I'm sorry, Isabella," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Isabella was furious. She couldn't believe that Victor, who was supposed to be her best friend and business partner, had betrayed her trust in such a terrible way. "That's not what it looks like," he protested. "I can explain." "Explain what?" Isabella asked. "That you were unfaithful to your wife? That you were cheating on her with another woman?" She fired him from his job and severed all ties with him. She was hurt and angry, but she knew that she had to move on. Her family and friends were beside themselves with worry and spent every waking moment by her bedside. She traveled all over the world, speaking to people about the importance of equality and justice. She also continued to grow her business empire, and she became one of the most successful women in the world. However, there was nothing they could do but wait and hope for the best. She had been through hell and back, but she had survived, and she was stronger than ever. She wanted to tell him how grateful she was to him. She knew that he had been there when no one else could have been. And every year on the anniversary of her accident, she would visit him and thank him for saving her life. She knew that she had to thank the person who had saved her life. But Isabella knew that it was more than that. She knew that he had saved her life, both physically and emotionally. She named the charity Victor's Last Laugh, and it became one of the most successful charities in the country. He had been running the company for the past month, and he had made a lot of important decisions that he knew she would not approve of. She had lost so much, but she was grateful to be alive, and that was all that mattered. For example, he had laid off hundreds of employees and closed several offices. She started seeing a therapist to help her cope with the trauma of the accident. She was furious, but she knew that she couldn't do anything about it. It was an email from a lawyer informing her that she had received a large sum of money from an anonymous donor. The email did not say who the donor was, but Isabella had a good idea. She also began to take things one day at a time and focus on the positive. He had done what he thought was best for the company, but he knew that Isabella would disagree with him. She couldn't shake the feeling that he was involved in the accident that had put her in a coma in the first place. She had no proof, but she couldn't help but feel that he was guilty. "You're doing great, Isabella. You're going to be fine," he said, trying to sound upbeat. The PI took photos and videos of Victor and sent them to Isabella. What she saw shocked her. He had no idea that his words would have such a profound impact on her. She had known Victor for years, and she could tell when he was lying. She could also sense that he was hiding something from her. After 2 weeks, Isabella's condition began to deteriorate. The doctor froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Isabella asked in a weak voice. "You're in the hospital, sweetie," her mother replied, rushing to her side. "You're at an accident, but you're going to be okay." He had never seen a miracle like this before. Quickly called for backup, and soon a team of doctors and nurses were rushing into the room. "Don't move, honey. You're not strong enough yet." Isabella looked around the room and saw all of her friends and family gathered around her bed. "What happened?" she asked. Days turned into weeks, and still, Isabella did not wake up. As he changed her bandages, he talked to her, even though he knew that she couldn't hear him. All of a sudden, Isabella's eyes fluttered open. Isabella's mother and friends were also summoned, and they all stood by her bedside watching in amazement as she regained consciousness. "Where am I?" Isabella tried to sit up, but her mother gently pushed her back down. One of her friends explained what had happened and how she had been in a coma for almost a month. As the days passed, Isabella slowly began to regain her strength. But not everyone was happy to see Isabella awake. When news broke that she was conscious again, her business partner Victor rushed to the hospital. Victor was furious. He couldn't believe that she had woken up from a coma after all this time. He tried to hide his true feelings, but Isabella could sense that he was upset. "Is something wrong, Victor?" she asked. Isabella nodded, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As the days passed, Isabella grew more and more suspicious of Victor. She decided to hire a private investigator to follow him and see if he was up to something. Victor was meeting with another woman, a woman who was married. They were seen kissing and hugging each other. Isabella was heartbroken. She confronted him about it, but he denied everything. Victor looked away. He couldn't meet her gaze. She decided to cut him out of her life completely. With Victor out of the picture, Isabella was left to pick up the pieces of her life. With the help of her family and friends, Isabella slowly began to rebuild her life. One day, Isabella was going through her emails when she came across one that made her stop in her tracks. She knew that Victor had been skimming money from the company for years, and she suspected that he was the one who had sent her the money. So she decided to use the money to start a new charity, one that would help other women who had been in abusive relationships. In the years that followed, Isabella became a prominent voice for women's rights. Looking back, Isabella knew that she had come a long way. She wanted to find the young doctor who had changed her bandages every day while she was in a coma. She found him, and when she thanked him for saving her life, he blushed and said that it was his job. And for that, she would be eternally grateful. And so, Isabella and the young doctor remained friends for the rest of his life.